It's time. It's finally time. Man on the Moon review. Let's do it.
La 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 barbecue.
Welcome to the first episode of Slap or Cap. This is a new series I'm trying out where we'll do reviews on games, music, movies, all that stuff. And I'll tell you if it is cap or does it slap. So we're going to jump into Man on the Moon 3 because I just listened to this. I've been listening to it since it came out. I think I'm up to like 6 or 7 listens now. So I think I'm pretty good in and have a good opinion on where I sit with this album. So we're going to hop into it. And first, if you're going to enjoy this content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you did like the album, let me know in the comments down below. And let's just jump into it. All right. So I did a video about a few weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago about him announcing Man on the Moon 3. And between that time, I didn't really give you guys an update of when he was coming out with it, but it came out last Friday. Yeah, I think it came out last Friday. Today's the 14th when I'm making this review. So it came out. I'm not going to show my hand to where I'm at, but you're going to have to listen to the review and I'll let you know how I'm feeling about the album throughout. So it's been 11 years, bro. 11 years since Man on the Moon 2, which personally is my favorite Kid Cudi album. And I personally had expectations for this album. Like when Kid Cudi came out with Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, I didn't have as high expectations because we were coming off of Speed and Bullet to Heaven earlier that year. So when we finally got Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, my expectations weren't that high, but I love that album. So maybe now my expectations have kind of risen a little bit. So I was coming in very skeptical and hoping for the best. All right, this album has production from Dot the Genius, Take a Day Trip, and Plain Pat, Mike Dean, and Emily Hain. I hope I'm saying that right. But those are the producers on this album, and let me tell you already, they did a great job. Like the production on this album is great, and I feel like these producers don't get the credit they deserve because they provided some great instrumentals where Kid Cudi could just flow on them, and you'll see why I was kind of surprised by that. All right, so this album does come in 4 acts. It came in Act 1, Return to Madness, sorry. Act 2, The Rager, The Menace. Act 3, Heart of Rose Gold, which is one of my favorite songs off of Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, Rose Gold with Will Smith. And Act 4, Powers. So these are divided into 4 different acts, and the album is 18 tracks long. If you want to include the first one, which is Beautiful Trip, which is really just a short little intro. No real music on that one. So it's 18 tracks long, and they're divided about 4 songs per act. Maybe some have more, obviously, to fit the number. But yeah. So Act 1, we're going to go through all the tracks, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts on each track. So we start off with Beautiful Trip. Like I said, it's really just the intro, but it sets such a good foundation with getting that nostalgia you had from Man on the Moon 1 and 2. And the little sequence that it goes through, it really brings you back. Like we are back into Man on the Moon, and it's getting you strapped in for the ride to the moon. So second up, we have Tequila Shots, and this is already what I was talking about with the production. Kid Cudi, like, he's actually rapping on this album. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say he doesn't ever rap, but the amount of bars and flows he comes up with on this album is very amazing, and I was not expecting this from Kid Cudi. I'm gonna be completely honest, I was not. I am a Kid Cudi fan, but I was not expecting this. I was expecting kind of more of the same. Like he'll rap, but it's kind of like more mumble rap. Honestly, I always say, people hate when I say this, but I will always say that Kid Cudi was like honestly one of the first mumble rappers. Like he really like it. If you don't listen to him that much, you can't tell me you understand everything he's saying on the song. So I think Kid Cudi is like one of the founders of mumble rap, and I'm sorry if that pisses you off, but that's how I feel about it. So Tequila Shots came with great production, great bars, and Act 1 was really good. Act 1 had a lot of actual rapping, and I appreciated every one of it. So if we go from Act 1, from Tequila Shots to number 5, Dive, we go through Tequila Shots, Another Day, She Knows, and Dive, and those are all really good songs. Like I was very happy with the first act, very happy, and I didn't have many negatives for it at all. Tequila Shots, Another Day, and She Knows, they all like blend so well together. And I think honestly, upon my first or second listen, Tequila Shots was my favorite of the act, and then towards the end, Dive became my favorite one because like the vibes on that song are like unmatched. They really are. Of the five, those had the best vibes on them. So I do love all those songs though. So I don't really have a negative for the first act. It was really good. It was really good. If you were to put out an EP and it was just those 5 tracks, I'm good. I'm good. If it couldn't have been a Man on the Moon with just the EP, but that I'd have been totally fine with that. So we get into She Knows, and I love the song. And she knows this. Yeah, she knows this, bro. That shit slaps, man. Act 1 was great. I have like nothing to say negative about it. The one I didn't feel that much for was Another Day, because I felt like it was just a copy and paste of Tequila Shots. Don't get me wrong, I still think it's a good song, but it didn't really do anything else for me that Tequila Shots didn't do. But I still love that song. All right, so now we hop into Act 2, The Rager, The Menace. I love his titles for these acts. They're so like menacing, like no pun intended, but they're so menacing, and I love it. All right. So Act 2, I feel like slows it down a bit. First, you got Damaged, and he's talking about how he's a damaged man, all that jazz, and this is how it goes when you are a damaged man. And this seems pretty up Kid Cudi's forte of subject matter, so I wasn't surprised by this one. It did slow down the pacing, but I did like the song. That's why you have to look at the acts and know when the vibes are changing for the album. Heaven on Earth reminded me of the song title Heaven at Night, which is one of my favorite Kid Cudi songs. So I kind of had expectations for this one. I was thinking like maybe it was kind of a sequel to Heaven at Night, but this song came with a darker type of vibe. I liked the beat. It kind of reminded me of Travis Scott's Rodeo, the kind of production he had on that album, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was very fitting for this act of the album. So I don't have anything negative to say about this one. Like I was trying to find some things, and I think the only thing I have negative to say about this act particular was that the pacing was way just thrown off from the first 5 songs. But then again, that's not a bad thing. People have different ways of pacing their albums, so that's just another way he did that, and I have no problems. All right, so this is where one of my problems come up with the album. So we go from Heaven on Earth, which is a darker, slower, methodic track, and then we go into Show Out featuring Pop Smoke and Skepta. Now, I love this song. The Pop Smoke feature was great. RIP to Pop Smoke. He apparently had this verse recorded before he passed, obviously before he passed, but he had this one recorded, and Kid Cudi said that Pop Smoke said he was thinking about Kid Cudi while he was making that beat, so he did get the clearance to get that on his album, and it felt very Pop Smoke. It felt like a really trap beat, and it was kind of surprising to see Kid Cudi on one, but I still feel like he fit really well on it. He put his own spin and own take on it, and I really enjoyed it. And the Skepta verse, I had no problems with it. A lot of people didn't like Skepta's verse, but I'd never listened to a Skepta song before, but I somewhat actually like UK drill rap. I somewhat like it, so I had no problems with it. So I liked it. I really enjoyed it. RIP to Pop Smoke. He did his thing on that song, and a shout out to Kid Cudi for putting him on that song. And it being an actual good one. A lot of the times when people do these posthumous albums or songs, they don't have the essence of the actual artist. It just sounds like a company or a robot is making these beats or putting this person's voice on a track. And Kid Cudi did a really good job of making sure that didn't happen, and I really appreciate that. Next up, we have Mr. Solo Dolo Part 3. Now, looking back at this whole trilogy of the Solo Dolo songs, Mr. Solo Dolo 1 was on the original 2 Man on the Moons. I forget which one right now, sorry. And then Mr. Solo Dolo Part 2 was on another album that wasn't the Man on the Moon trilogy. So looking back on 2, which was actually one of my favorites, because I actually really enjoyed Kendrick Lamar's verse, and I love that collab. That's one of the ones I never thought we'd get that collaboration, but it doesn't make sense now when you look back and you're like, damn, the title of the song is Mr. Solo Dolo, and now you got a feature on it. So I was just like, okay, I was very optimistic looking at Mr. Solodolo Part 3, wondering what he could bring to the table. So, yeah, Mr. Solodolo Part 3 fits in perfectly. It should have been the real sequel to 2. And I it was really good. I enjoyed it. The production was still great on this one. His vocals were also really good. So Act 2 had its issues for me, just with the pacing and some of the vocals on it. I didn't talk about that, but some of the vocals on it were a little bit off, but I still enjoyed it. I have no major negatives to say about, except for sometimes Kid Cudi can get in his own way of making songs. Sometimes he just doesn't add bridges to his songs. He just goes from verse to chorus to verse to chorus, and then the song's over, and then something else weird will happen. But I don't mind it, because I know that for how Kid Cudi is of making his songs. Sometimes he'll do a bridge, sometimes he won't. So I really don't have a problem with it. Now we hop into Heart of Rose Gold, which is the third act of this album, and it starts off with Sad People. Sad People is the title of the number 10 track. The vibes slap on this song. Have nothing negative to say about it at all either. I know I keep bringing it up, but the production around this is so good. Like, if these were just instrumentals and you can give them to anybody, like, anybody would die to have some of these beats right here. So then we hop into 11, Elise's Baby Boy, and it is in quotations flashback. So this is a flashback into his life, and he's talking about his mom, his family, his dad, which really had a big effect on him growing up and into adulthood as well. And some people didn't like this track. I've seen some other commentary and reactions to this album, and people really were not feeling this track. And I was on the fence. I was in the camp where I was like, this song isn't for you. I feel like that song is honestly just for him, and he decided to let us hear that on this album. So I'm not going to criticize the song negatively, and I've seen a lot of people doing that, but do what you do. But I really do think that song is personal for him, and maybe he just wanted to make it and put it on his album. So I have no problems with that song. I enjoy it. It is I like those reflective type songs where you can look back at your life and see what really made you who you are today. So that's what Elise's Baby Boy is, and that's why I enjoyed it. All right, September 16th, the best song with the hums on this album, I think. The hums at the end of this song are really nostalgic and really will put you back into the Man on the Moon feel, and it was great. That's one of the songs. I didn't get the significance of the title track, like September 16th. I don't know if that's his birthday. I might have to look that up. Let's look it up. It is not his birthday. His birthday is in January 30th, so I don't really understand the meaning of that, the significance of that date, but I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point, because I'll like fly deep into the ethos of this album, so we'll figure it out at some point. If you know, let me know in the comments what that date means for him. Void is the next track, is song number 13. We're almost done with this album. Song number 13, and this is a highlight on the album, man. This, of any song on this album, this is the most Man on the Moon. This one right here is the most Man on the Moon. And he hits us with the hums. He hits us with everything that is the essence of Man on the Moon here. And he ends with the hums, and it's gonna be okay. This is, listen, I guarantee you, if you are a Kid Cudi fan and you listen to this album and you don't think this is the most Kid Cudi song, go back and listen to the other two albums, because this was the most Kid Cudi song on this album. It really was. Yeah, I think his vocals were great on this too. This one really brought out everything that is this trilogy. It really did. All right, so then we hop into number 14, Loving Me, with the feature from Phoebe Bridgers. And honestly, like, maybe that's what this act was about, because these songs are all the subject matter and everything to do with the last two albums. So maybe this one was the most nostalgic part of the album, and Phoebe Bridgers' part was good. I enjoyed most of the features on here. I don't have anything negative to say about any of the features on this album. So this could just be me fanboying again and being biased, but she did great. I can't talk. I'm sorry. I am sorry if I sound stupid, but I've been waiting to do this, so I'm excited to tell you what I feel about this album. So yeah, Loving Me featuring Phoebe Bridgers, and I'd say this one is the second most Man on the Moon sounding song on this album. So you go from The Void to Loving Me, and I think those are really, just like I said earlier, the essence of the Man on the Moon series. All right, so we're now hopping into the last act, which is number 4, Powers. And we start off with Pale in the Moon, the Pale Moonlight, and we are back to the bars. Like I didn't mention this earlier, but I feel like he was rapping on the last 2 acts, but it kind of slowed down from the first act. The first act he was giving us straight bars, and he kind of slowed down, especially with the third act, to do some singing, and that sounded good. But number 4, we're back to the actual bars in the rap, and the Pale Moonlight gave us that. I was really enjoying it. I was, like I said earlier, man, I'm really surprised with how much he was actually rapping on here, and I'll tell you why I think that is later in the review. So then we go to Rockstar Nights featuring Trippie Redd. Now, I know some people have some opinions on Trippie Redd. People don't like him, some people love him, and I personally don't listen to him that much. I only listen to him when he's on features or has a big single. I don't go in and listen to his albums specifically, but I did like this song. I like Trippie's part. I like Cudi's verses on the song, but I was not a big fan of the hook. This line saying gotta get ahead. It was kind of cheesy, but in all, I did enjoy the song. It's a more upbeat, fast-paced part of this album, and in general, it sounded good. It sounded good. Then we move into number 17, track number 17, For the Kids, and this one has those great Kid Cudi vibes again. I like his flow on this one. He's just really, these last 2 songs, honestly, I can just talk about both of these songs at the same time. The flow, he's just floating on these beats, and it is just really great to see. This is what I've wanted from Kid Cudi. He kind of gave us some of that on Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, but he really gave it to us on this album. He really tried to show us that he shouldn't be slept on as a lyricist. Personally, I didn't think he was the best lyricist, so I'm one of those people I feel like he was probably trying to impress on this album, and he did for me, because I feel like that was the biggest goal he had in this album, is to show you that he shouldn't be slept on in the rap game as a lyricist, and that he shouldn't be put in this other alt, like Kid Cudi type category. He can rap too. He deserves to be mentioned up there with some of the other people that you guys think are some of the best lyricists in the game. Then we go to number 18, Lord I Know, and let me be honest. This is my favorite track on the song. I kind of didn't like the placement of it, but in general, this is my favorite verse and everything on the song. It is so good. Like it kind of pissed me off that it was the last track, that he showed this much ability to do everything that he set out for in this album on the last track, and that might be the purpose for it, but I was kind of upset that he saved it all the way for the end. But that's it. We are through 18 songs, and he did end on a cliffhanger saying to be continued, so we could be looking at a Man on the Moon 4 at some point. And I think Kid Cudi is going at an every other year type pace now, so we probably won't see this album till probably 2021 or maybe 2022 if we're not good to him. So this could continue. I would rather it end on a trilogy personally, because I hate when things outstay their welcome, and I'm not saying that he would, but things tend to do that sometimes, with just like Lil Wayne and the Carter, and going all the way to like what, Carter 5, is that what he's on now? But things like that, if we can't get something as good, then maybe, I don't know. I do appreciate any music that Kid Cudi does choose to bless us with. Almighty Lord Kid Cudi, there's no Kid Cudi tolerated in my channel, so get out of here. But yeah, hopefully it's good, but if not, I'm still gonna listen to it. I'm gonna listen to whatever Kid Cudi drops, to be honest. So my thoughts on the album. All right, so my major negatives are that the act placement and the song placement is kind of weird on this album. I can't ignore it. It is. And while I love this album, you have to look back and look at the track placement and be like, you could have put things here, you could have put things here, but honestly, it's where he wanted it. It's his album. He can do whatever he wants. So for you to criticize him on that was just a nitpicky thing that I brought up. So I don't know. That could be the best musically, the way he put it together, but I personally don't think so. I personally don't think that he could have saved Lord I Know, probably put it in a third act, and move one of those songs down. And he could have put Lord I Know anywhere in the album and it would have slapped. But honestly, that might have been a good move, because I don't know if Lord I Know would have hit for me as hard to be my favorite song on the album if you'd have put it somewhere higher up. All right, so the next negative I have is some of the song structure is a little off. Like I mentioned this earlier, is that sometimes he doesn't add bridges into his songs where they be really nice. And some of his vocals are off a little bit on the album. But I don't give a shit about it. But it's just something that me as a music listener, I notice and I can't just ignore it sometimes. So just vocally, sometimes he is off. And I love you, Cudi, but get your engineers on it. Get your sound engineers on it. Sometimes you sound a little bit off pitch, but I love it. I don't give a shit. For me personally, that's not a big negative. Whatever you vocally want to put on the album and it sounds good to you, I will listen to it, bro. I will listen to it. Those are my major, like, 1, 2, or 3 negatives on this album. That's it. There's you can't knock him for much else on the album but the usual things. So I feel like we also have to talk about the elephant in the room. If you've listened to this album, you've probably noticed this, is that there is a Travis Scott sound on it. You can't ignore it. The ad-libs, the rapping, the flows. You cannot ignore the Travis Scott presence on this album. And I thought about this when I was watching someone's Twitch stream, and they were saying that, oh man, it sounds like Travis Scott really influenced Kid Cudi, and everybody in the chat attacked him. They attacked him. They're like, do you not know that Kid Cudi influenced Travis Scott? Blah, blah, blah. How can he influence him? And I'm just like, dude, influence can go both ways. You can influence somebody and they can take your sound and make it their own, and you can do the same. Influence goes both ways. Travis Scott can influence Kid Cudi, and Kid Cudi can influence Travis Scott. And honestly, if you watch his Zane Lowe interview, that was an hour long, which I watched the other day, he said that he spoke to Travis Scott like once he got on, and he's saying that Travis Scott really loved when Kid Cudi rapped on verses. So Kid Cudi was like, I'll take note of that. And that's, I think, why we saw so many bars on this album, that the influence is clear. Like, people say Travis Scott is like really just a clone or influence of Kid Cudi, which no one really can be, but you can see the influence there too. And they have two completely different sounds, but you can't ignore that on this album there was a lot of Travis Scott influence on this album, and I enjoyed it. I would personally say that Travis Scott gave us, Kid Cudi gave us a better Travis Scott album than Travis Scott could. But that's just me. You know, I'm just chilling. So anyway, I'm just happy that Kid Cudi's back. I'm happy that he is hopefully in a good mental state, doing well emotionally, and I hope the rehab really helped him out. It seems like it did. It seems like he got a lot of the negative issues away from his life, and I'm here for it. I'm here for great mental health. I'd rather you be healthy than try to push out an album that you don't want to push out or do something that you don't want to do. So I'm just happy that he is okay, hopefully, and that things are going great for him. I'm happy that we got to see Man on the Moon 3, and we didn't lose him before then. So I love you, Kid Cudi. Just keep being safe. We need to protect Kid Cudi at all costs. So the question is, with all this going on right now, will there be a tour? Hopefully. I haven't. Kid Cudi's one of my favorite artists, like one of my only favorite artists that I haven't seen in tour. So if things can clear up at some point and I can actually go see him in person, that'd be great. That would make my life better. And man, I would love if we could get a Man on the Moon 3 tour. And hopefully he can play some of the old songs in there as well. All right, so with all that said, does this album slap or is it cap? And drum roll, please. It slaps, obviously. It slaps. It definitely slaps. Like, for me as a Kid Cudi fan, this is all I've ever wanted. This is all I've ever wanted, for Kid Cudi to actually rap, have great production, and do what the fuck he wants to do on a track. And that's what he did for this whole album, and I loved it. That's why I've had very nitpicky negatives, because as a core Kid Cudi stan, this is all I've wanted. And for me emotionally, like, Man on the Moon 1 and 2 really helped me out through some very stressful, depressive times in my life, and it really opened my eyes up to the fact that there's other people out there struggling like you are. So the fact to have him back means so much to me personally, and it's what a lot of people needed to hear right now. And this at the perfect time too. 2020 has been such a shit show that like we needed this. We as a country, as music goers, music listeners, people who are stuck in the house and can't do anything, we really needed this. So all right, so if I had to rate this album, I'd probably give it 8.10, though 8.10, 8 out of 10. Even though I don't really like rating albums personally, I just think I enjoy what I enjoy, and I don't really have to put a number measurement on it. But that's what people like to see. I like to give the people what they want, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. So let me know what you think about the review. Did you like the album? Did you enjoy it? Did Kid Cudi help you in a stressful time in your life? Is this the best Man on the Moon in the series? Let me know in the comments down below. If you did like this content, make sure you like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys next time for Slap or Cap. I'll see you guys later. Yes sir, did you like that video? Me too, because I made it. I know it's good. If you did like that video, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new here, subscribe. Make sure you have that bell turned on for notifications for when I make a new video. Also, you can catch me on any of the socials down below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all those. I'm on there. That's it. See you guys later.